There's something fundamentally wrong about drinking Labatt Blue when you're doing a 4th of July top 5 movie show, but F it, I did it anyway. Hey, welcome back in, everybody. Thanks for staying with us. We have over 100 subscribers now. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, maybe to some of the big wigs, but we appreciate every subscriber. If you ever want to comment, if you ever do have a question, we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. This is going to be a short show because we have a bunch of stuff coming up here. That we're recording actually tomorrow. I think we're doing 2 shows. One with Cosmic Casey, an up-and-coming Michigan comic book artist who is actually having her stuff looked at by a couple of TV production companies. So that ought to be fun. And then Warpig will return for I think he's got something to do with zombies. I'm not sure. But anyway, so let's get into some just movies I think that go down real good on the 4th of July. They're not necessarily all war movies, although I think at least 3 of them are. But anyway, it's just something to check out. It's a long weekend, 5 days, I think, this year. So if you're rained out for any part of that or bored or just have to get the heck out of the outdoors, come and check out one of these movies. Okay, so number 5, I have The Patriot with Mel Gibson. Now, this was made before he got into trouble for being a drunken maniac. Of course, it's been so long since The Patriot that he's now had that disaster and now come back and kind of all has been forgiven. Patriot is a fantastic movie. There are very few movies about the Revolutionary War in America, and this is one of the better ones. It has a lot of excellent war scenes. Really, really good cinematography, good editing, although it's probably about 20 minutes too long. It is still, it moves along pretty quickly for being a longer film. And perhaps best of all, besides Mel Gibson killing British people, ruthlessly, is John Williams' score for this film. It's probably Williams' last great non-Star Wars score. I think Revenge of the Sith has a fantastic score. The whole theme on the lava planet and all that, but this is the last one that really is just a classic. Every bit as good as Star Wars or Close Encounters or Jaws or any of the other 10 other movies that Williams is so famous for. This belongs right up there with all of them. So The Patriot benefits very greatly from a great score, great cinematography, and pretty good direction from Roland Emmerich, who did Independence Day and Universal Soldier. All right, coming up next, we have number 4. That's 4, right? Coming up next. Okay, the 5th movie is Philip Kaufman's The Right Stuff. Not technically a war movie, although it is essentially a Cold War tale. It talks about how the Americans got into the space race in the early 50s. The movie starts out with Chuck Yeager, played fantastically by Sam Shepard, and then we get to kind of see how the test pilots are chosen, and then eventually how the astronauts are chosen. It's just an incredible film, and 5 out of 5 stars for me. And anybody who watches these shows knows I just don't roll out 5-star reviews. It is an absolutely fantastic film. Very gung-ho, very American. Amazing photography, special effects. A great cast, great direction. It is just a movie. If you haven't seen it, you owe it to yourself to watch Phil Kaufman's The Right Stuff. My number 3 pick, and arguably the best film on this list, is Rocky with Sylvester Stallone. The director, John Avildsen, just died recently. And part of the reason why I'm choosing this film is because of that, and because I don't think a lot of younger people have actually seen the uncut Rocky, which is not a surprise. It's now a very old film. We all think of Stallone, of course, as being the world-famous icon that he is, one of the world's biggest movie stars and arguably directors. Well, that wasn't true when Rocky came out. He was virtually a complete unknown. I think he's in Death Race 2000. He'd been in some other stuff, but basically a nobody who managed to get a lucky break, and he had the balls to say, no, you can't have the script of Rocky without me being in it as a star. I forget who they wanted originally, but when whoever it was, nowhere as good as Stallone, of course, would eventually be in the film. The big fight at the end with Apollo Creed, played so wonderfully by Carl Weathers, happens on 4th of July. The movie takes place during the centennial in 1976. I'm old enough to have been alive during that, and I remember what a patriotic, enthusiastic time it was, even though we had just come out of Vietnam and the whole Watergate scandal, and of course the Cold War was still raging along. So Rocky does a good job of kind of has all that in the background, but it never comes to the foreground. It's all just about this great palooka with a heart of gold who gets one great shot at the champion. It's a great American film, and it happens on the 4th of July. I burped so hard I forgot what I was going to say. My number 2 pick is Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks' Band of Brothers. Band of Brothers is arguably not only the best World War II film ever made, but it's the best movie about war ever made. Featuring a fantastic cast, even the bit players would later go on to be famous, like Jamie Bamber and Simon Pegg, who have just very small roles. Damian Lewis stars as Captain Winters, the leader of Easy Company, one of the toughest bunch of badass dudes that ever lived. Fantastically shot, great music by Michael Kamen, guest directors like Tom Hanks, more explosions than you could ever possibly want. They talk about the 4th of July in one episode when they're getting bombed in Battle of the Bulge. If you haven't seen it, it is an absolutely fantastic thing, and watch it. But of course, because it is a miniseries, you can't just sit down and plow through it all in one day, although you might be tempted to if it is raining or something like that. So if you can't watch this, then I'd say just go watch Saving Private Ryan, which is a very similar film, of course, made, starring Hanks and made by Spielberg, about World War II. Another insanely great movie. I said that the 4th of July is so associated with war, of course, but if you have to go see a war movie, then see one of those two. Okay, my number 1 pick for if you have to watch a movie this weekend because it's raining or you're sick or something like that, I would say to watch Ken Burns' The Civil War. Originally airing on PBS, it is available right now as I record this on Netflix, and I'm sure you can get it at other places. It is a beautiful bit of filmmaking. I believe he shot it in 16mm film, so it's a format that you will only rarely see now in film, and so it's sort of interesting as a filmmaker to watch how Ken Burns is able to make this incredible film about war that teaches you about one of the bloodiest wars ever in human history. Where you have 10,000-15,000 people dying on a single battlefield. And this is all in a time, before the light bulb. Burns is able to get the horror and the humanity of that war across using just 16mm film, some, basically old, paintings, some of Matthew Brady's photographs, and some pictures of the sun rising and setting. It's amazing how far he can go down that road, essentially with just stock footage, and paintings that have been around a long time. Now, of course, if you haven't seen the show, the person you will probably most like out of the show, beyond the historical characters like Lincoln or Grant or Jeb Stuart or any number of the South had many heroes in that war, is Shelby Foote. Shelby Foote is so good in the Civil War. It's eerie. It's almost, he's one of those great guys that knows so much about the subject that he speaks as though he were there and you believe him. And they'll talk about, and Grant did this, we'll look him tomorrow, though. And then he went and he got a sandwich, and I drank a beer with him. Oh, wait, don't air that part. I mean, he's so eerily in the moment, at any moment in the Civil War, he can tell you this huge amount. And before the Civil War aired on PBS, Shelby Foote was nobody knew about him except in very rare academia about the Civil War. And Ken Burns actually had the whole show in the can, and he knew something was missing. He just didn't have the show, and he knew it. And to his credit, he reached out and started asking around some of the other historians, I think like Ed Beers, who worked on the Civil War too, and ended up having a smaller part in the film because Shelby Foote dominated. And they said, well, you got to go talk to Shelby Foote because this guy is incredible. Anyway, enough about Shelby Foote. He's a fantastic historian, and he's in Ken Burns' Civil War, which is one of the greatest movies ever about American history. And if you had to watch any one of those, I would watch the Civil War. A lot of people, of course, have not seen it because it has been out for a long time. It's not super exciting, but if it is compelling, just let yourself get into it. Anyway, so go check out the Civil War. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's a short show. Again, we're going to have Tony from the Wyandotte, Michigan Comic Expo, which happens on July 29th. We're going to be there, so I'm going to interview him. I think next week Cosmic Casey's going to be on, and of course War Pig will be back too. So please continue subscribing, continue to like our stuff. If you have any questions, please write down below. At the end of the month, we are going to debut on YouTube our zombie film, which is called Living Dead World. It's a pretty fun little action zombie film. Actually, I still think it's one of the better low-budget zombie movies made. There's a lot of good humor, and there's a great actor in it, Michael Reed, who we got lucky enough to have for that shoot. Okay, so stick around. We're going to have lots more content coming up very soon, and don't blow off your face this 4th of July. See you soon. Boom! My number 2 film. Is this thing on? Is this you, John Wayne? Is this me?